Okay, we are live.
Sorry. Okay, thank you for joining us tonight and all the people from home. As you know, Mayor Cheryl Ford is unable to be here tonight, so I will be chairing the meeting tonight. So I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Thank you. First on the agenda is Indigenous land acknowledgement, and I'll call Peter to read it.
The Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornepayne would like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that the land on which we gather here today is Treaty 9, 1905-1906 territory, the traditional lands of Indigenous peoples. As we work towards reconciliation, may we all live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship with all its diverse peoples.
Thank you, Peter. Review and note any changes to tonight's agenda. I'd like to point out addition of item number 12.3, bylaw number 2218-26, comprehensive user fees and service charges, has been adjusted and added appropriately. The approval of agenda. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Pete, second by Belinda. Be it resolved, the council does hereby approve the agenda as presented. All in favor? That's carried. Declaration of pecuniary interest and declaration of conflict of interest. None was reported to me, and if anybody has some, you can discuss anytime tonight. Adoption of minutes, adoption of council meeting minutes for the regular meeting of council on the 11th of June 2026 and the regular meeting of council on the 24th of June 2026. Are any can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Drago, second by P. Is there any discussion on those minutes? Are they good? Everybody's happy with them?
Yeah.
Okay, be it resolved that council of the corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby adopt the following minutes as distributed. The regular meeting of council held on Thursday, June 11th, 2026, and the regular meeting of council held on Wednesday, June 24th. All in favor? Will be carried. Deputations, presentations, tenders, awards, and discussions. Tonight, our first presentation is from the Township of Hornepayne 2025 draft audit consolidated financial statements presented by Stefanizzi Corporation.
Stefanizzi Professional Corporation.
Thanks. Mitch Marinovich.
Marinovich, we had it right first time.
Audit. He's the audit manager. Thank you. I'll hand it off to you.
Perfect. Let Jennifer get it up on the screen so everybody can follow along. But I'll give a quick, brief introduction for anybody who doesn't remember me. My name is Mitch Marinovich. I'm the audit manager for Stefanizzi Professional Corporation. We are here today to present the audited financial statements and do a financial overview for the year ended December 31st, 2025 for the Township of Hornepayne. So what I'll do is, so we can go to the next slide. So where we are as of today is we are substantially complete the audit. We will be ready to issue early next week. All we need is evidence of approval of financial statements by council, as well as our signed management representation letter that we'll have signed by Cindy as soon as we have approval. Next slide, please. As part of the audit, we always have required communications that will make the council. First is the concept of materiality. When we're doing an audit, we always have a dollar value threshold that we need to audit to. We can't audit every transaction. As such, the standard allows us to determine an amount of a monetary threshold for which we can issue an audit opinion without having to modify it. When I say modify it, we can keep a clean audit opinion. So 120,000 was our materiality. That's up from last year, 100,000. And then what that 120,000 represents is that we can't have uncorrected misstatements, meaning that we have disagreements with reported of up to 120,000. If we accumulate that much, then we would have to modify our opinion or force management to report those entries to make sure that we have a clean audit opinion. Our next statement there is we have no uncorrected misstatements to report. And then we also take a look at the control environment, meaning all your checks and processes, everything, how transactions go throughout the system. We take a look at that. We haven't identified any control deficiencies, and our last communication is on independence, where we have to make sure that we look independent in fact and appearance between us and council, meaning that there's no incentive for us to try to make the township financials look better than they are. When we're talking, next slide, please. When we have an audit, we always have two significant risks that we always have to address. The first is the risk of management overriding controls. Management override refers to when management has the opportunity to go in, change some balances to make the numbers look better. This is something that we can't rebut. We have to go and always do tests on. We do that by going through testing journal entries throughout the year, looking at retrospective review of estimates, which we'll have a conversation on later in the presentation. And just anytime there's something that's unusual, we evaluate, we look in detail and just understand the business rationale for some of these complex transactions. Second risk that we always have in the audit that we have to address is the risk of fraudulent revenue recognition. That means, is there numbers in your revenue line items that are misstated in order to make the township financials look stronger? This is actually a risk that we can rebut, and we have rebutted it, not to say that we haven't done sufficient test work over revenue, but the risk of fraudulent revenue recognition has been rebutted because there is no incentive to overstate the revenues. You overstate the revenues, you're going to have taxpayers that are going to be upset by seeing an overstated surplus on that front. Next slide, please. So we're going to go into the financial statements, and we'll go to the next slide. And when you open up the financial statements, you'll have your auditor's report on here. Auditor's report has a lot of verbiage on there, but the total most important part of this is in that green highlighted box, which says, in our opinion, the accompanying consolidated financial statements present fairly in all material respects. That translates to, it is a clean audit opinion. The highest level of assurance you can get on your financial statements, and nothing has come to our attention that suggests that these are misstated. So on this front, it's saying it's an all good audit report. We do report this under the public sector accounting standards, which is consistent across all municipalities in Ontario. And this is a consolidated audit. So whenever you see that word consolidated, that means that it's not only the township, but it also has the Hornepayne Housing Corporation's figures in there when you're looking at the financial statements as a whole. Next slide, please. When we go into the financial statements and you open the first statement in there, that's going to be your statement of financial position. And what the statement of financial position is it's your snapshot of where all your balances sit at December 31st, 2025. So as we go down here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain some of the variances between the accounts, explain what makes up some of the more significant amounts, so council has good comfort on what are in the balances. But we can see our cash balance is $648,000. That's down from last year of $905,000. The decrease is primarily in the timing of a lot of expenses that I'm going to call capital. A lot of your Third Avenue reconstruction, you are paying a lot of costs, and the timing of those coming back from the ministry is longer than when you're expending them. So that's why cash is down. Taxes receivable itself, tax receivable stayed relatively consistent last year. This year it's about $691,000 total on your property taxes, up from $680,000 last year. And an allowance has been made for $122,778. An allowance is essentially an adjustment to that amount, which identifies what you might not receive from that. So this was determined by specific accounts on the balance. So about 122,000 have been identified as non-collectible of the 691 total. That's how we're getting that 568,000 number under taxes receivable. Accounts receivable has a lot going on in there. That's a $2 million number. It's up from 1.4 million. Primarily, the majority of this is your government grants receivable, and that's all your Third Avenue reconstruction funds. There's always a timing lag that goes through on that front for when you make those expenses to your progress payments on Third Avenue, as well as you have some airport funds in there still, and a little bit of recreation funding. The remainder of accounts receivable is 130,000 related directly to the Hornepayne Housing Corporation on their tenant rent and their PSB rebates. The township has its own PSB rebate of 60,000, water and sewers, 77,000 in those billings, and then your general services, which are your Hornepayne, HPI, HPL lumber, service agreements is sitting in accounts receivable as well, for the second half of 2025. 150,000 portfolio investment, that hasn't changed from last year, and that represents the investment in the hotel, through the housing corporation. Slide, please. Financial liabilities, so these are what you owe. Accounts payable went up to about 627,000, up from 78,000. There's really two large items that are really increasing in the year. First is there's a last progress certificate for 192,000 in that balance. That's for your Third Avenue reconstruction. And there's a CN rail crossing agreement that originally 250,000, that's now 200,000, 50,000 has been paid, and that's going to get paid over the next 5 years or next 4 years to bring that amount down. Deferred revenues, the next line item, you see it's 1.2 million, was 1.7 million last year. And deferred revenue is revenue that you've received but have not yet expended. So seeing the decrease in deferred revenue shows that you're starting to use up some of your additional funding year over year that has come in the bank. And primarily the balance is in your Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund. This will continue to be utilized against your projects next year, and this continue to be carried forward year over year. There's about 106,000. That's another obligatory reserve to the government for the federal gas tax. So that's 106,000, and then the Hornepayne Housing Corporation has 98,000 in prepaid rent, as well as an ADSAB agreement that gets amortized over time, dating back a number of years. Asset retirement obligation, so that's 877,000. It's up about 30,000 from last year, and that is your landfill liability for your future closure of the landfill. The landfill has about 25 years left of life on it, but as that balance continues to increase year over year, that's as we approach that final closure, and that represents the final cover cost to restore the land, your post-period monitoring over making sure that any of the groundwater contamination, a lot of environmental monitoring, and that's what that balance represents. It's more of an accounting number, but it represents the future cost in the post-closure monitoring of that landfill. And long-term debt has increased from 1.3 million up to about 3 million. And that's all related to 3 new debts, $1.5 million, $1.5 million for Third Avenue. And then CIBC has the ball field for 198,000, and 128 we're taking for the fire self-contained breathing apparatuses. And under, next slide, please. And then under our statement of financial position, we have our non-financial assets. So these are your amounts that don't translate or won't be settled with cash. So financial assets are always cash or received in cash. Financial liabilities are payments of cash at some point. Non-financial assets are amounts that aren't cash. So primarily there's 22 million in tangible capital assets. So that's your brick and mortar, your equipment, your buildings, all your sewer, water, infrastructure. Anything that you're going to use over an extended period of time goes into tangible capital assets rather than an expense on a yearly basis. So in the year, from the budget, about $5.1 million worth of additions were increased on the asset line. And that's coming out of, or that's coming from 3.7 million in Third Avenue, as well as the new Freightliner plow truck, CN rail crossings at 250,000, new PWD building, 120,000, 395,000 arena renovations, landfill expansion of 95,000, and some airport terminal renovation, camera station, generator switch, about 60,000. So these are expenses that you paid, but because they will be used over a number of years, these end up going into your capital, and then you bring them into your expense over their useful lives. So capital is always an item that has a little bit of confusion on that, but what I'll let you think about is a house. you have your electric bill, you have your insurance that you pay on a monthly basis and you use it and it's expense. If you go and do a kitchen renovation, it's gonna have a large expense, but that's gonna give you a benefit for a number of years. If you spend $50,000 on a kitchen renovation, that's gonna increase the value of your house and it's gonna give you a long-term benefit. Now, in 10 years, that kitchen renovation is not worth what it was when it was new. So every year, you're gonna take a little chunk of that into an expense. And that's what this concept of amortization is. So in the year, $1 million amortization has been charged on an expense against the capital assets. Next slide, please. And now on to our statement of operations. So the statement of operations is your ins and outs. So this represents the activity throughout the year for your revenues and your expenses. So when we're looking at the revenue line items, next slide, please. Revenues have gone up from 5.9 million to 9.3 million this year. There's about a $225,000 increase in taxes. That's all primarily related to your increased assessed values in your properties and your approved rate increases and your supplemental billings. It came relatively close to budgeted tax revenues and about 16,000 over budgeted revenues. Federal grants saw the greatest increase, up from 442,000 up to $3 million. And again, that's all your ISIP funding for Third Avenue, your airport, and your arena funding, as well as some EDO funding from FedNor. Provincial grants also increased in the year, and where that increased was primarily in the OSIP funding itself for the Third Avenue related to the drinking water. I believe that drinking water was related to Third Avenue. Fees and user charges stayed relatively consistent, but that's all your various airport fees, your arena fees, water sewer billing. So that, as expected, stayed relatively consistent year over year. And then license permits and rents, that balance there has a decrease, more or less related to some prior year recoveries that occurred in 2024. But it does include Hornepayne Housing Corporation revenues of 443,000. So total revenues increased close to $4.3 million, but majority of that is coming right from all your government grants to fund your capital expenses that occurred in the year because you had a significant capital. Expenses were relatively consistent with budget. Most of them all tie very closely with the budget, so there is no real concern. It shows that people are monitoring the budgets. Expenditures or your budget is reasonable. Everything is getting followed, and it brings you down to a total surplus in the year of $2.6 million. And I'll say that that's an accounting surplus. It's not money in your bank account, because what it represents is that difference that occurs between how your funds and how your expenses are reported. As mentioned, there's all those capital expenditures that were funded by your new income. None of that actually gets reported as an expense because it has a multi-year benefit, and the expenses itself describe in-year expenses. So out of the total $5 million of expenses, only of capital expenses, only $1 million was brought in as a in-year expense for those. When we look at that $2.6 million, next slide, please. Yeah. The operating surplus itself is coming from 2.6, says about $2.3 million is in a capital surplus. The remaining operating surplus about $327,000. So that's balances that are more standard once you take out the capital expenditure and the offsetting capital grants. You have a total accumulated surplus of about $20 million. And that accumulated surplus represents the annual rolling surpluses since the beginning of tracking.
Since the beginning of time.
We'll leave that, but I'll say tracking. But majority of that is set up in your equity in your capital assets. So 18 million of your $20 million is in your infrastructure of the town, your equipment, your sewers, your various arenas, or your arena, your infrastructure. Also has $150,000 for your investment in the hotel. General operating surpluses of $647,000 and an unfunded liability, we'll call it, which is related to sick leave of 25,000. When we look at the status of our reserves, so the council has set aside 1,100,000 in specific reserves. And right now it's only funded by the cash amount of $793,000. So there is a $323,000 deficiency between what you specifically set aside from council as opposed to what's in your bank account itself. Now, 323 of the deficiency, it's not an ideal situation, but we do see progress from 2024 where there's a $518,000 deficiency. So to councillors, this is something to keep in mind, and for those who plan on being in future councils as you go through your budget process, ensuring that you consider a transfer to reserves, budgeting some additional funds for reserve transfers is always something that should be in your mind, because these are the funds you're going to call upon when catastrophic items happen, when you need new improvements. It's your savings account that you're essentially setting up. And next slide, please. I always like to go into some of the notes that a lot of councils struggle with, just to understand what's in that. So the first one I would highlight is deferred revenue. Deferred revenue is money that you can receive from various means. So these are all primarily your key funders and just how much money is in each. So this is funds that have come in but have not yet been applied to specific projects. As you go through with your budgeting processes and looking, these are balances that you'll have to consider for what you have. So in your federal gas tax, now called Canada Community Building Fund, there's 106,000 in there. Your Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, 96,000 on that front. And then there's prepaid rent and rental deposits and the PSD rebates of 98,000 and land deposits 35,000. Every year you receive additional contributions and those get applied against your various projects, majority of which is from your gas tax and your OSIP funding. So that's funding that's not going to, that's a $1.2 million that's not going to come in cash because technically it's already come in already. So when you go through and you're going to budget, always looking at your cash flow to make sure that what you're budgeting for, you have sufficient cash flow to achieve, because there is revenue that you'll have to apply against these projects, and making sure that the sufficient cash, because that's money that hasn't been funded to the town. Next slide, please. Note 4 is your asset retirement obligation. So as we mentioned, this is for the landfill, but the updated engineering reports are saying that there's going to be a closure in 2048. That's all things remain consistent. Usually every couple of years we get an updated engineering report on that, but it is a balance that you want to keep in mind, because there will be upfront costs once you close it, and then continued costs for the next 25 years for your continued monitoring of that. There is a bit of a finance calculation that gets done on that front, and the last report was done on December 23rd, 2024. So it's been discounted up to 4.7% every year, keep things tied with inflation as costs increase. And every year you're going to see this accretion expense come in, just as that's your inflationary adjustment for what the cost is going to be once we get to the time of closure, or other means of how that will be dealt with once capacity of the landfill has been met. And the last note I was going to is the budget, because the budget for accounting purposes is always different than the budget that council itself approves. When council does their budget, and by no ways is this saying that councils do their budgets wrong, but it brings in the use of capital transaction as an expense, which you should be doing, but for our purposes, we have to back that out because those are balance sheet items rather than income statement items. So you budgeted for about $5.6 million, actually spent about 5.1. But those are our balances that you put into your budget that we have taken out for the budget that we present, because they show up on a different statement. Also using debt financing and transfers from reserves as funding sources and expenses. We back those out as well because those are essentially allocations of your retained earnings to fund items, and that doesn't match with the revenues expenditures that we use in accounting. And we add in our amortization, which is your calculation of the usage of your assets on a yearly basis. By no ways is it council doing their budget wrong. It's just always that standard note across all municipalities how we normalize the budget so it looks different. So the statements in the budget column and the actual column for the year are consistent. Next slide, but that's about all the slides you want to go through. Hopefully everybody has a little more understanding of the financial statements. I'll open the table to any questions from council.
No?
I'm good.
No?
Yeah, go ahead.
I like budgets.
Perfect.
So what's the actual surplus we have in 2025 that we could transfer over when we do the budget in 2026, the people that will be sitting around this table? I think that's crucial. It's also crucial the taxpayer understand at late terms, not financial terms, auditor terms. They want to know what is the real money we could transfer from 2025 to 2026 to be used the budget.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I put that onto slide 13, but so there's an operating surplus of $327,027.
Right.
And
Okay.
that normalizes out all your capital transactions, I'm gonna call it, because those are one-time funding and those are only specific to the funding of your capital assets. So
Okay.
I backed out $2.3 million to present that figure. So it's about 327,000, of which can be transferred into your available reserves or your available funds when you go into your 2026 budgets.
Now, when it amortize something, that's an educated guess, correct?
Educated,
And
absolutely.
that could be different from auditor 1 to auditor 2 to auditor 3.
Yep.
If their experience, if they work in that specific field, because I've been here total of, I don't know, 37 years working at council. Every auditor had different input.
Yeah.
They looked at the issue. I mean, there's parameters, I get it.
Yeah.
But there's a, it's a
Yeah,
leeway.
it's definitely, it's referred to as an estimate for accounting purposes, so,
Okay.
and I sometimes call it a paper accounting number too. It doesn't represent a cash outflow or cash inflow, but the key variables that's gonna be consistent across all your financial statements is what comes down to the estimated useful lives. So when you do your amortization, we'll use the example of a vehicle. You're gonna go buy a new truck, it's probably gonna cost you $100,000 nowadays.
Right.
And that truck, based on your assessment, is gonna last you 10 years. Hoping for 15, but let's be reasonable and you can guess 10 based on the way trucks are right now. That means that you're gonna take $10,000 amortization in. So that's all of management's policies on how long that they go through and determine what the useful life is, because it's all completed on a straight line basis. So Cindy maintains a large spreadsheet and it has all the estimated useful lives, and our job as the auditors is to determine if those are reasonable, and we have found that they are reasonable. We cross-reference to other municipalities across Ontario and ensure that the balance itself is consistent. So when you see differences in amortization, and as your asset base continues to grow, your amortization is going to increase as long as the asset base continues to grow on a yearly basis. It does all come down to the estimated useful lives and the cost. Obviously, costs are going up on everything, so that's why you're going to see this amortization number going up on a yearly basis as well. But it is an estimate that always is calculated by management. We review the usefulness of that amount, but I agree it's always a tough number to understand and try to understand the relevance for. But I had one client and one municipality who always thinks of it as their capital reinvestment rate, and I
Okay.
thought that's a good opportunity too to discuss that. You're going to take in an expense every year because you bought your $100,000 truck, you drove it for a year. I better have $10,000 now ready to store away for in 10 years when I need a new one. And then after 2 years, you put another 10,000 away. Now, okay, I've used up $20,000 in my vehicle. I better be thinking, coming 8 years away from needing a new vehicle. So that's what the concept of amortization is, and every year it's gonna be a new balance
It will increase, obviously.
increase, yeah.
Simple math in that respect.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, we have reserve funding, right, for whatever it is, capital reserves. So I saw, noticed some municipalities also have emergency capital reserves.
Okay.
Is that wise to have for emergency? So the taxpayers could see that you have a different GL number says this is for emergencies, meaning Zamboni goes down in October, we need a new Zamboni arts resurfacer. So I noticed some municipalities have the emergency reserve.
Yeah, it's never a bad plan to have and I'll call it a vague reserve fund
Okay.
for emergency purposes. If it doesn't fit in, because you have capital, library board, arena,
Mhm.
sick leave, bursary. Sometimes, I had one municipality and they had a massive water main break. It was hundreds of thousands of dollars to fix and it was unexpected. Just though it runs into the lake and it just got exposed and really they had critical infrastructure that they weren't planning to have to fix, but unforeseen circumstances they did, and they didn't have a reserve fund. That they had a water main reserve, but it didn't cover the cost. So that's where having the idea of an emergency, a vague,
Right.
a slush fund of reserves just never hurts.
So the taxpayer can actually see these are reserve funds that we calculated for, and this is uncalculated. Because I know Zamboni right now, because I just checked 2 days ago,
Yeah,
electric is Zamboni right now, 2024 price, $165,000 plus taxes.
yeah.
And this one is under last, like, thank you very much
No.
for clarification.
Problem.
Any other questions from council? Pete, go ahead.
More of a comment to that, I totally agree with Councillor Stefanik. In a perfect world, I know what we should be doing, but in the real world, I know what we can do. And it's basically, we have a very limited resources when it comes to capital coming in. We're very stretched, like every other small community. And it would be nice to have the emergency reserve and all that, but it's literally like you're prioritizing with whatever little money you have, and you try to force yourself to put that little bit away. And then once it's put away and you get, say, $500,000, but something happens, everything's gone up so much. It's just, you're chasing your tail, but I completely agree with Drago. It's something we should be looking at.
If I have a supplementary, please. Fair. Even if you start at $10,000.
Yeah.
Would be prudent. That would be my take on it. Thank you.
Well, I do have a question that I kind of want to follow up on. I don't know about the surplus account. We're a little behind what we want to be.
Yep.
Right? Just out of curiosity, contributions to our surplus account, is that considered an expense? Or is that just goes into a savings account type of thing?
Flush account, it's not actual dollars.
Yeah, it's not, it's really just, contributions between reserves are really just reallocating between your bank accounts, I'm gonna call it.
Okay.
So you have a TD account and a Visa account, you go and contribute to
Yeah.
one from the other, you still stay in the same position.
Okay, but I just wanted to know that, clear it up.
So I believe part of that surplus being funded through the line of credit. Like when you look at actual dollars, so it's not a surplus in physical cash.
Yeah.
Just to explain that, what I wanted to comment on, if it's okay, through the chair, I wanted to congratulate the finance staff. We managed to reduce the unfunded reserves from over $700,000 of unfunded reserves by over a little bit over what do you say the numbers were? 518,000.
Yeah, 518.
And now we're at 300 thereabouts. So almost 50% of that has been recovered this year. And then Cindy's first year here with all the other challenges that she's had. So I agree also with Councillor Stefanich. I would love to see some additional monies put aside. And I think that was reflected in the budget. Even in the capital, there was a plan to have some money set aside for technology, small amounts. And even if we don't do the projects, we'll try very hard to set the cash aside into those reserve accounts. The other thing that's happened recently, to bring it to the attention of the auditor and council, is Cindy's gone to the Northern Credit Union and physically opened up a separate bank account. And the Canada Building Fund is getting deposited directly into that account. So there's no chance of it being used in regular operations. It doesn't even hit our regular operating account. It goes straight into that reserve account. And I think that she's transferred, I believe, some other monies too, as they've been coming in with grants that aren't getting used this year. So, you know, we're not just trying to recover, we're trying to save for the future as well. And I applaud her for doing that. The ARO and the landfill closure, it's great to know 2048 is the number. I just wanted to say Jen is going to shine on this later in today's meeting, but we do have a bylaw on today's agenda for recycling. So that's going to reduce the amount of trash that's going into our landfill, the plastics, the bottles, the cans. Now we'll have the opportunity to be picked up curbside, starting, I believe, in November. Sorry, I've just taken Jen's shine, but she'll talk about it later. It does reflect not in these financial statements, but definitely in the next ones. And it will change, I believe, these notes for the future as we start to see those impacts in our landfill. So just as a point of interest to everybody. As a matter of moving a surplus in as a revenue item into your next year's budget is not always a good idea, because really it is more of a cash slush fund than it is actual revenue dollars that you should be transferring into next year's budget. If anything, if there was, I think our surplus deficit policy speaks to how to deal with those surpluses, and a percentage of those surpluses should be put into the reserve for future years, and it states specifically part to the rate stabilization reserve, part which will help offset rates in the future, tax rate increases in the future, and part to the different capital reserves. And some are just general capital that could be used for anything and in emergency situations. So it does allow for a portion of those surpluses to physically be put into bank accounts at the year end. So just to remind council, council did an excellent job in 2025 and 26, setting up those reserves for policies for reserves, policies for surpluses, and policies for multi-year budgeting. And I think we see it reflected in this year's financial statements.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, thank you for allowing me that time and those comments.
So, any other questions? Okay, if I can ask, move on here. Out of all this, and we have building our reserve fund, what is it that you think that we can improve on for next year?
That's a tough question, absolutely. Because you are in a strong surplus position, and it's impressive on how much got done versus the impact. So your reserve accounts only went down 200,000. You took out about $1.5 million in debt, but somehow you financed $5 million in capital. That's great work by the team. It's hard to improve on that. What I would say is probably the concern that I always see is just getting those reserve funds funded a little stronger, putting additional funds into that savings bank account, because you never know what's going to happen, especially with just how much capital is committed to over the next few years. That's where I would say the improvement should occur, is just getting those reserve funds fully funded. It might take them to be multi-year, but it should always be something that's in the mines account. So something I always stress is just you always want to put money in your savings account.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Drago.
My final comment, all the accolades should go to administration staff, not council, administration staff. I got to be really clear, because I've been like that for 12 years. They're in the trenches. They recommend, they battle that every day with finances, loans, grants, and that's the people that make it happen. And I want to be really clear on that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll jump on that. And
Thank you.
we do 6 or 7 municipalities, and nobody is more proactive at getting grant funding than Hornepayne.
Okay.
And that's just a testament to the people involved in going out there and getting the funding that's out there from the government. And like I said, you financed $5 million by taking out $1.5 million worth of loan and 200,000 from reserves. So incredible.
Thank you. Grego, you stole my thunder because I wanted to personally thank Cindy and the rest of
You
the
go ahead.
management team for an excellent job.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Well done, guys.
Thank you.
2 compliments are better than 1.
Yep.
Last time I checked my math.
Okay, with no further discussion on that, where we are. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Drago, second by Peter. Be it resolved, the council of the corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby accept the draft consolidated financial statements for the year ending December 31st, 2025, as prepared and presented by Stefanizzi Professional Corporation. All in favor? Carried. Okay, thank you. You're welcome to stay for,
Yeah.
listen to the rest of the meeting if you,
Do you want to be bored? No.
No, I'm probably I heard that they're gonna close the highway, so I'm probably gonna go try to get to Wawa today,
Good for you.
oh, yeah.
just to, so I don't know how long it's, stuck there for.
Excuse me.
So, but I do have a signing form, so I'll get you guys to sign the manager rep responsibility, if that's okay with you.
Tonight?
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
we'll be ready to, issue these all
Absolutely.
next week. And I'll
Pardon me?
send you the
Audit
rest of the
presentation or
report.
Just
Audit,
yeah.
can you,
I couldn't message you. My, everything, everything was down.
Is this signing, should it be, on camera so everyone can see?
I'm gonna ask.
No.
Or-
Is it on camera?
No.
Okay.
it's a little bit on camera.
Not because of me, but it's hospital. Senior citizens, I didn't know.
Yes.
I think I did.
I need a dedication.
I think we should take it.
I believe
Did I
so.
print the right one?
I believe it does. That's one you sent.
Is that the same report from last time?
Okay, you might have just
What was
kept
that,
them in
Trevor?
there.
What are you saying?
I
It
said,
looked like there was changes.
Oh, I
Al
think,
situation to see the council wants to do for next meeting. I think we should take a lead.
Thank you very much.
Maybe I'll
Waiting
get some
on
answers as
response.
opposed to many people calling.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not happening.
yeah.
So what happens, say for example, I want to call the hospital.
we had the end of the session.
Don't have cell phone. I have internet. Has a lot landline.
Yeah, you talked about the
My neighbor
sessions,
was away.
which was in happened.
That's where.
The waste and product.
Yeah, you still have the AMO ones in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we said, okay. Now this was, we're gonna call that person.
So you can update on responses. We've gotten more responses since.
Your cell phone's down too?
The broadband.
Yeah, we have everything's
I
down,
have
yeah.
that in.
I'm not making shit up.
I believe so.
Is this the same as me?
Crazy.
No,
Okay,
My.
No,
phone's
'cause you
still
talked
working, but
about-
I'm
Oh, right,
seeing
'cause
now,
this
I
is
guess.
me.
I have
Okay.
some Fido, so.
you're good.
Oh, you're different, you're different.
thank you.
We
Are
do
we-
different.
Yeah, I
This
bet.
is-
Everybody's
no, no,
listening
no.
to me. Wait.
Oh, no, this is serious.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Safe
Safe
trip.
trip.
Watch the moose.
Yeah.
They're always fun.
Okay, if we can move on to departmental reports.
Excuse me.
No, can I have a mover in a second? Okay, yeah, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Belinda, second by Pete. Be it resolved, the council does hereby acknowledge receipt of the departmental reports provided at the regular meeting on Thursday, July 16th. And we'll go through the reports. First one is the CAO.
Okay, so quickly, I'll just go through, WSIB and records management is ongoing, it's going well. Actually, with the records management, it's good, we're going through that training and updating our just our knowledge on the things that we're doing, and we did start doing some shredding this week, and it came to my attention that documents were getting shredded based on the previous policy that should not have been getting shredded. So later in tonight's meeting, you'll see, I wrote very quickly a policy for our records management. It's not a retention it is a retention policy, but it's not called the retention policy anymore. It's called the records management policy. The retention policy will be part of it. And I'll speak more to it when we get to that section. So NWMO, we had the sessions on July 8th, 7th and 8th. There was 2 well-attended sessions. And I think that's also later in tonight's meeting. So I'll let council speak to that at that time, but I was glad we had the opportunity to have it scheduled and for people to be able to come out. the small northern property tax class, I did have some discussions. We met with the director of the property tax assessment policy for the Minister of Finance. So we had a meeting with the director and her staff. Our proposal is under consideration with the ministry. We reviewed the concepts and the expected outcomes. It was supposed to be a 45-minute meeting. I think it ended up being almost an hour and a half. So it was, there was a lot of discussion. We discussed how it differs from the community improvement plans because they really wanted to point us to the community improvement plan. And we made them aware that we already have a community improvement plan. We want to do more than what we can do with that plan. We reviewed the expected benefits and discussed why this is a northern initiative only, because we did get posed the question, well, how is this fair to the south? Which I found I don't want to be rude. It was almost insulting to be asked, how is this fair to the south? And my response was, it's fair because 95% of the population lives in the south. And we have 5% of the population, and we're just asking for a little bit of help for the north. So it's been just earlier this week that we had those discussions. So they asked to wait for 2 weeks if we don't hear from them to knock on their door, and I definitely will knock on that door if we don't hear from them. So it was disappointing and they also told us that they already reached out to MMAH to see how they could help us with our CIPs. So our CIPs are good and they're working well and we're getting good response from them. I had somebody come in again yesterday to submit 2 more CIPs that will align well with their properties and what they're doing. So the CIPs are working. Do we need more? Yes. They also did inform us that they spoke with MPAC, and MPAC has tested our data and has tested the data of all the other municipalities that have supported our proposal, and the data worked out positively for Hornepayne and the other municipalities should there not be a reassessment or should a reassessment happen. So in both situations, it will stay true. That's good news. The Waste to Resource Project, we had the meeting on July 8th, and that also we have opportunity to speak to that later this evening. Our telephone project, quite a few of the phones now have been turned over to the voice over internet protocol phones. Unfortunately, the other day, our internet was down throughout the town with Bell, and we had no phones, but we had cell phones that worked. So I was able to check my emails on my cell phone because it was with Rogers and also make calls out. So other than that, it's great.
That's great.
Yep. The broadband project, what is this? So as everybody knows, the ministry, I think, or the government of Canada, CRTC, has made a commitment for broadband in all small northern remote municipalities. We're one of them. So in order to put that high-speed internet into Hornepayne, they have to upgrade poles. And part of their infrastructure, pardon me. So we have, like most places, we have some of our infrastructure on their poles. And they were initially going to remove our infrastructure from these old poles and put them on new poles. But when they looked at our infrastructure, they felt uncomfortable to move them. So they called us and said, hey, can you guys move them and get your contractor to move them? And it's anywhere from 24 to 40 poles at a cost of anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 per pole. So that's a substantial amount of money. So I sent them an email back saying, I sent an email back saying, this is your project, not ours. We didn't apply for this project. And I'm sure your funder will have a conversation with you and just let me know the outcome.
Yeah.
So I haven't heard back since then. I'll keep council informed.
But, go ahead.
Sorry. My number's right, anywhere 600,000 to $1.2 million.
Yeah, depending on
Simple
the pole. So no, it's not for the poles. It's to take our lines off the pole, off the old pole,
Okay.
and put it onto the new pole.
But the pole, that includes the pole, the cost.
No, we're not
No.
paying for the pole.
So the only
It's
infrastructure,
just the
That's why I
labor.
asked the question.
It's just the labor to take like our transformers off a pole and put it onto
So
the
how
other
much are you
pole.
making per hour? $10,000?
Well, you have to bring in a contractor, you have to bring in a truck, you have to bring in like,
$10,000 an hour,
yeah. So by the time you bring in, it's probably $2,000 to bring in the truck.
Sorry,
And-
thank you.
So part of this is related to our water treatment plant. Or our water or sewage treatment plant. It's one of the, I believe, sewage treatment. Regardless, it's their project.
what kind of infrastructure do we have on these poles?
Transformers, power lines,
Power lines? We
Yeah.
have power lines as well?
like I think there's
Hydro
some,
One doesn't take
no,
care
I
of that?
think it's power to the plant. I think it's our lines to the plant. yeah.
I don't know.
So, yeah. So it's, right now, it's just information only and a heads up of what could be coming down the pipe or what pipe might be ahead of us. So the fitness center library, just an update. The meeting with the drafting technician was completed. The draft RFP was completed. The final RFP was completed and released on June 26th. On July 27th, the RFP will close. We'll begin the evaluation process, and July, August, we'll be doing some permit submission, and we'll award the project at the end of August and begin the project in September. So just to give you an idea of where we are, we'll keep you on those timelines as we go. The baseball field, I submitted, I'm in the process of submitting for this grant. It's been pushed out to July 20th. I think they're not getting response, so I'm still collecting more information, because the more information I can collect, the better our chances are of getting some money for 2026. So that one's ongoing. AMO conference, I think I had these on the last meeting as well. I've received two, and Ministry of Infrastructure and Ministry of Municipal Affairs so far as requests for, like, they've honored our request. They've given us times. And that's it.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any
Thank you.
questions for Manuela?
More of a comment. Just excellent. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I really, the small northern new property.
Not
tax
there
class.
yet.
I know, but it's,
Oh.
you're going in the right direction, and it's a really good thing.
Yeah.
Something that should have been done years ago.
Well, hopefully, yeah, hopefully. Other communities think that too.
I have to echo what Peter said. It's excellent report. I do have one question though. Review and update policies. You have our zone policy. and
Yeah, that one's been there for a long time. I just haven't had a chance to get to it. So it's like a respect policy. So respect your facilities, people, areas, and we will get to it. We
Okay.
just, it's been low on the priority list.
Okay, I just didn't know what our zone.
Yeah, it's
That
a
wasn't familiar.
respect policy. So to, be respectful of the people around you, the facility that you're in, the area that you're in, and
Perfect.
we will
Okay.
get it. Go ahead.
Thank you.
It's complementary to what we do have, the public conduct policy.
Yeah.
So it's hand in hand, yeah.
Okay, thanks. I didn't know what the acronym meant. Okay, any other questions? We can move on to the CFO report. Cindy?
Okay, the main new thing, I guess I have a couple of things, one I didn't have to put in the report, but the first, excuse me, is the new grant funding with Nords. Excuse me. We had been hearing about this as a potential coming up, and that they have confirmed that yes, we are eligible to get the same amount we had in the first 5-year round of it. I've got it here on the slide. It works out to about $348,000 total over the 5 years. We do have to submit project form by July 31st. So I guess some of it is coming to you as a question. Is that okay to do? Submit the application. They are very particular that they do have certain categories of projects, but we do have to make sure that there's a resource development component to it in of some form. They won't fund a pickup truck, for example. Excuse me. And given the 5-year timeline, all funding must be utilized by March 31st, 2031. They run on April to March per year. We can bake it all and use it in year 5 if that's how it works, but we would have to have that project form in by the end of July to say we want to use it in year 5. And have a project description and enough information that they can prove it eligible through their program. What I'm recommending is that we use, the 2026-27, which is available now from April 1st on, up to March 31st, 2027. So this is a project information form I need to submit to say this is what we're using our year one money on, or extending to later, but I'm gonna suggest we use it on the Third Ave project to help us not have to get quite so much of a long-term debt at the end of all of this. It'll bring it down somewhat, so I think that's a positive for us. And we, as of right now, I'm not aware of another project that would be eligible through their program. I've indicated one here on the bridge repairs that was suggested, that we could look at for the future years, because Third Ave's done this year, so we only have this year taken care of in the 5-year scope so far, so we'll have to come up with another project.
Question. Do we have to submit for all 5 years by July 31st, just for the 26, 27?
Just for this year.
Okay,
Yeah. That's my understanding. They have actually confirmed that we are able to resubmit Third Ave, because we did use some of the, I think that might have been the main project that was in, I came in at the end,
Yeah.
as you know, but I think it was the main project that's been used on so far, the first 5-year round. So we have all the information. And I did ask them, can I resubmit? Because we closed off that first 5 years. I said, can I resubmit the project for this next year? And they did indicate that would be fine. I was a little concerned because I thought it was only eligible based off the water and wastewater portion of the project, but they did indicate we could show it as the next phase for the paving this year, which is the bulk of what was done this year. There's been some underground, but the bulk has been the paving. So that was approved on their good choice in the budget. So, so that's my one thing that is on the slides, that's New York. One other thing in upcoming, I didn't indicate it here, but I have been asked to put together the recognition event for the baseball field as it is now, because we did get funding to put it in place. And now we've been asked to close out that grant. We're required to do recognition event. So, and that includes inviting the MPP, Bill Rosenberg, and some of the funding, the funders as well, who want to come to Hornepayne for that. I did indicate we'd do it more in the fall. I didn't want to be in the middle of bug season, so I'm gonna be reaching out to you to find out dates that might work, so we can get some counselors and hopefully the mayor as well involved in the event. I don't have it scoped out yet because it's new for me. I've never done one, so ideas on what other than a speech and a few other things at the ball field.
a ball game,
There you go.
So that's another event.
ball game and hot dogs.
I do need to.
Okay, thank you. Cindy, go ahead.
Yeah, MPP has to hit a home run. He doesn't hit a home run, we get double the grant.
Oh.
That's a good one. You suggest that.
No problem, I will. And I'll pitch. Even though I'm all still pitch.
Okay. All right.
Need a bit of humor. I supplementary, I agree, Third Avenue completion,
Yeah,
under the CFO recommendation, 100%.
yeah,
It's
definitely.
Thomas, that's right. And then of course, the Jackfish Bridge too. I mean, it's not we talked about it now last 4 years, actually. It's becoming to the stage where we'll have to have on it.
And that's what the report did say. I looked at it into, it was 2024, so they're
Yeah.
gonna be doing
That's
it
a
again
3 or 4, yeah.
this year, because it's every 2 years you have to do the inspection.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
The only thing I would add to that is, I would want to confirm that we can stack it with a connecting link grant.
Yeah.
And then that would pay for a big chunk of it.
Nords has said we can stack as long as the other funding.
So,
Mhm.
so let's, I think, if we can, by the end of this year, apply for the connecting link, and that'll help us inform our future budgets as well. And.
Great.
Or at least look into what we can get.
Yeah.
Out of that grant, because if we could stack a connecting link, a federal and this, that might be maybe 80 or 90% of the project pay.
I'm just curious, when it comes to the Jackfish Bridge, that's on our highway, is that,
Our property,
it is our
Yeah.
property, okay.
Is
unfortunately.
it the highway one or is it the one over by CN? That's this one? On the highway?
It used to be by Public Works.
Oh,
By the track.
oh,
But
okay.
it does qualify under connecting links.
Yeah,
Oh, so it is our,
because it's connected. to-
Yeah.
it's our responsibility then.
I just wanted to know if that was,
That is the one bridge on Erasmus.
Oh,
Mhm.
I thought, I was thinking it was the arch culvert on the other.
We do have some culverts
Mm.
as well, but we were talking about this one. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, if, no further questions for the CFO, we could move to the clerk. Jen,
Okay, I do have a couple of additions. So for, the 2026 collection update, as of the 14th, we will certainly be in a restricted acts period, upon nomination day. So, I'm going to make a recommendation to council, just verbally tonight. And if council's in agreement, I will bring, a resolution to the August meeting that we amend our meeting schedule. Because their council won't be able to make many decisions. So my recommendation would be that we go to, have one meeting in September, mid-September. I will come up with dates, and one meeting early October, and then the next meeting would be the inaugural. If council's in agreement, that way there's still updates, the departmental reports, etc., but there's no risk with the restricted acts.
I agree.
100%,
Does
Yeah.
everybody agree with that one?
Yep.
makes sense.
One meeting a month, we'll get updated on progress.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And I had a second date, but I'm blanking on what it was. It. Is she in? No? Oh, yeah, I wanted to mention, so you'll see that the comprehensive user fees and service charges are on the agenda later on. This is because, we realized that the, user fee bylaw mentioned that there was an efficient portion, but it wasn't included, so we had to, amend it just to clarify what the actual portion was, because it wasn't explicitly listed for the public. And because we are now offering that service, we felt that it should be amended and made clear. And the, other bylaw that I'm excited about is, the blue box material collections. So that will be our recycling agreement. And I'm excited to tell you guys all about it when we get to that item.
Good.
Yes.
Any questions for Jen? Okay, thank you, Jen. Public Works Department, Emmanuel.
Yeah, Dwayne was not able to be here this evening, but I will definitely, speak to his report on his behalf and his additions. So we had a good conversation before he had to leave today. So the report is just to bring council up to date on the key activity. It's obvious, his report says Third Avenue project has begun pavement application. I think it's now completed. I had a good conversation with Rick Roosevelt today. He wanted me to mention that there is a budget of approximately 23,000 to paint the lines. If council wanted to save that money, then they would not paint the lines. My recommendation is paint them. I think it would be good to have the lines painted and everybody knows where they need to be, including people who are walking.
100%.
Yeah, so for that small amount of money, if we spent like 3 million, what's another 23,000? So yes, on the painting, I will let him know. The library fitness expansion project has been posted on bids and tenders, so we're part of that. Dwayne was able to source a used vacuum trailer, which he purchased. He picked it up. It's here. I think it has only 91 hours of use on it. And it's a big vacuum that will clean up all the bags around the landfill. And it might have, it's gone a trailer, so it might have some other uses throughout the town as well. The pickup broom has been out of service more often than not.
Yeah.
So parts have now been received and installed, and sweeping is expected to begin this week if no further issues arise. So really, as part of next year's budget, we should look at possibly replacing that with a newer, if not brand new unit, depending on the pricing, or an attachment to one of our other pieces of equipment. The new treadmill is here and it's now operational. The hazardous waste day was successful. There was strong participation, and it's helping keep hazardous waste out of our landfill. The summer programming is in full swing. We have students doing summer programming. We have students doing the cleanup in the parks and the cutting grass and picking up garbage around the town. And ongoing tasks, since the last report, 2 additional water service repairs have been completed, and 1 more may be completed before this meeting. Staff has also responded to a sewer main break, and work has continued on organizing the public works garage and leveling the yard, and pothole patching is underway. I believe Villeneuve has left us with some asphalt to help us with the hot box.
Great.
And in addition, Eric Villeneuve, not Villeneuve Construction, this is an engineer for our insurance company, will be here next week to look at the curling club to get those repairs done. 2 culverts were installed at the hospital. The painting I've spoken to you about. We've been trying to source the digital sign, but we're not getting a big response. So we're still pursuing that. The paving on the side of the roads, like going into entrance ways, and the roads going off of 3rd Avenue. So that's been done. So the driveways that were paved are the driveways that had pavement.
Right.
So if you had a gravel driveway, it wasn't done. So the agreement was to bring it back to existing. The shoulder shoring has been completed, and Rick informed me that his guy will be here in the next couple days, like next week, to do the hydro seeding. And he said within a month we should have growth. We had ESA inspections yesterday at most of our buildings. That went well. I think there was only 3 deficiencies and they were minor. With my conversation today with Rick Roosevelt, this is from Villeneuve Construction. This was information for council. So if you remember last year when we were doing the water and sewer, some of those lines kept blowing apart because we had so much pressure in our water line. So he said there was more than once that there was 140 PSI going through those lines. The regular is, the norm is 60.
Wow.
So that's more than double. So we have a system that boosts our pressure for whatever reason. So we need to determine why that is, and is it necessary? Like we're pushing it up into the tower. It leaves the tower on gravity. Why are we boosting it?
Yeah, there must be,
There must be a reason.
there must be boosters, sorry, I know that for a fact.
Yeah, he said 100%
Yeah,
there's a booster.
so they could lower it
Lower it.
or disable it.
So we have to, and mostly it happens at night. Mostly it runs at night. So I don't know if that was an original thought. My first thought was to keep the water flowing in the evenings in the winter, to stop things from freezing. That was my thought, that perhaps it was for that reason. I don't know. Like we'd have to dig really far back to figure out why that was done. But he did share with me that when you take all the communities that Villeneuve services, like he said, from Nippigan to all of them, and you add together the number of breaks that they respond to, it's fewer than 1 year in Hornepayne. All of the communities they service. So he said the average is 1 to 2, not in every community. We have 10 to 15 repairs a year, anywhere from $5,000 to $8,000, sometimes a little bit more. So he said it would be great if you guys could take that money and put it aside for bigger projects,
Yeah.
like rather than these constant little water breaks. We're digging up our pavement and we're, you know, so that was an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
I think Aqua installed that plant originally.
Yes.
So I'm gonna reach back. They need to have some knowledge as to why that was done that way.
But
I would go to, if they don't understand it, I would bring in an engineer, because paying an engineer 20,000 one-time repair recommendation versus $8,000 to $10,000 per service. And we have many on Third Avenue, for $30. Last 4 years, crazy, 6, 8 of them, 60, 70,000. So that, if they don't, this is my opinion, if they don't understand it, water agency, I would go further and get somebody who understands the system.
10 to 15 repairs per year.
There we go. So I
8,000.
don't want to exaggerate. That's,
Yeah.
on the safe side. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, that's all the information I have.
Okay, thank you, Manuel. Any questions? Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I'll talk about the boom. I spoke about that issue now. This would be a third meeting and I respectfully recommend to staff, Wayne and Cindy, to look at the numbers now. So January rolls around, you have the contacts. It's just common sense because part of town is like Sahara Desert. There's more dust there than when you go to Sahara, okay? And, it goes in your house. I don't care about the car, it goes into your house. And the other issue I would recommend to staff, since you have Third Avenue with the brand new pavement asphalt, I respectfully suggest to staff on our website, keep the speed limit that's there. It's not a super highway. I only went a few times, holy God. 50 kilometers down the 50, 55, I know for a fact they make that pass. So let's be pro on this one and inform the people, please travel the speed limit.
Yes, I agree,
Just a
especially
thought.
when there's people walking up on the sidewalks. You know, it's well used, that road, right?
Especially.
A lot of
schools.
kids playing. Go ahead, Steve.
To back up what Councilor Stefanich saying, Dwayne had the meter on there for a while. And there was in excess of a dozen vehicles a day traveling at 80 kilometers an hour, and that's when it was full of potholes. So we have the Autobahn right now. Yes,
Super highway.
there's gotta be educated.
Maybe they should have put speed bumps along the way.
You know, we're trying to get away from.
Just a thought. Thank you.
Yes, I agree very much. With no other questions for the Public Works Manager, i.e. Manuela,
I have no, yeah.
can we move on or Jen, sorry, go ahead.
I remembered the thing that I wanted to say that I did not add in my report, so I apologize. So if I may speak to that very quickly. As of today, we have posted a survey regarding the animal bylaw, specifically about whether or not chickens should be allowed, hens specifically, not roosters. Roosters will not be allowed. And if people are in favor, what parameters they'd like to see, if there's limits, if there's rules, etc. Because this has been a contentious issue, it's been going back and forth, and it's been very tough to come up with, like I've been researching, it's very tough to come up with a bylaw that's fair when it's so contentious. So actually, Marcel, who is our bylaw enforcement officer, advised like, try a survey, maybe that will help. And it's been out for maybe 5 hours and I have probably 10 responses already. So I am hopeful that I will have, if not a draft bylaw, a report for the next meeting for council just to see at least.
Sorry, well, I'm just.
Oh, no, that's kind of all I have. That was kind of.
Is
the
it
end of
hard
what I had
copy
to say.
too, or is it just online, sir?
Both. You can come to the township and get a hard copy and then you can fill it out and bring it in, or you can get it online.
Okay. Thanks.
Perfect.
Yes.
Very good, thank you.
Supplementary for me.
Yeah.
So that'd be for new council then, right? To make a decision because our time is running over really quickly.
That is my assumption. If there is very, very intense, concrete opinions, like a very clear response, then I will work with Marcel to hopefully have something that we can bring to the 13th. And if council wants to move forward with it, we can. That way there's less fighting in the meantime. But if it's kind of mixed and we're still figuring it out, then I will wait for next council.
Thank
if
you.
Council's
Okay, thank
comfortable with that.
Thank you, good question. We have no other
Excuse me.
questions for that area? You can move on to correspondence information only. Have a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Drago, second by Keith. Be it resolved, the council does hereby acknowledge receipt of the correspondence information only package attached to the agenda of the regular meeting of council held on July 16th, 2026. First one is key performance indicators. Did everyone review any of these or all of these and have any questions? I did review them too myself.
Good thing.
Yes. Any questions? Go ahead, Greg.
I have a question to the CFO. Your comment and opinion on the OCWA, cost plus report?
I put it on there because,
With your comments, please.
yeah, I did not prepare any comments for tonight, but I can do so, and we are anticipating getting the Q2 report. very
I would appreciate that, because I wanna, I mean, I see the numbers, but I wanna see behind the scenes as well.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any further questions on the correspondence only? There being none, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Peter, second by. Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, all in favor?
You read it, you
Carried.
said, okay. Excuse me. That's all.
Committee board updates. Oh, Manuela, did you?
Sorry, I just had a question about 9.4, the mayor's letter, request for review of provincial municipal fiscal framework. Was she looking for feedback on that letter, or was it just for information?
I can speak to that if you'd like.
Great,
At
thank you.
the, meeting that resolution was passed, Mayor Fort had said she would write a letter to accompany it, just.
Perfect, thank you.
The messaging, and so I advised that I would include both on the.
As
next
information.
agenda.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
That was a well-written letter.
Yeah,
Whoever wrote it.
yeah.
Okay, if we can move on to committee board updates. Committee and board meeting minutes, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Peter, second by Belinda. Be it resolved, the council does hereby acknowledge receipt of the committee and board meeting minutes attached to the agenda of the regular meeting of council held July 16th, 2026. Hornepayne Public Library Board meeting minutes. Northeast Superior's Mayor's Group meeting minutes on April 1st. Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association Board meeting minutes on March 25th. Do we have any questions or comments or anything about those minutes? There being none, we'll move to council committee updates. Gonna start with Pete.
I got nothing at this moment.
Belinda?
I don't have anything to add.
No. How about Drago?
Just, two items, actually. One is we have the library, was supposed to happen this week, but then now it is canceled. The meeting will occur next week. The other issue I want to bring up, and it's not on my agenda, with this issue with Bell. I think, I don't know how the rest of the council field administration, most of the Bell services, meaning internet, landlines, cell phones, were down since last Sunday at 6:33 a.m. The reason I bring that up here, a lot of people depend on that, the landline to call the ambulance, to call the services, and as Councilor Belinda made a comment, people that are senior citizens, they rely on the emergency button that they have in case of emergency. That's also under the Bell. My wife Lorene called numerous times. One time, she reached somebody in the Philippines, very difficult to understand. Second time was in New Jersey, USA. Excellent, nice lady, super. They're out of touch. They have a playbook of excuses. One was, we have a roadblock. Well, what does it mean by, they call back, Rain, and said roadblock on the highway, getting to your municipality. That was the answer. Next time she called, they said, and she really corresponded to other people in our community as well, that there is a traffic jam and the technician is not able to come to your community. Next time they said, technician will be at your house at 10 PM, between 10 PM and 1:15 AM. Verbal and also a text. I think we have a problem here. That happened Sunday. Some people lost it on Friday. And this has gone too long. I'm not sure how it affects hospitals, but I think we should take a lead role as an administration to find out a real answer.
Linda?
To add to what Drago's talking, I'd like to know if what happened with our 911 during all this time when the lines are all down,
Good point.
Yeah.
Very good point.
because this happened before.
I don't think it would work.
And is it working? Do we know if it's working?
I can confirm it is. I
Okay.
had to call it yesterday. Got put on hold, but got
From
there
your
eventually.
cell phone or the Bell?
Cell phone, no.
Okay, but
Right.
let me make it really clear for you. I have Bell service, the entire package. Internet did not work, doesn't work since Sunday. My landline does not work since Sunday, 6:33 AM. Our cell phone did not work Sunday or Monday. Finally, it clicked in on Tuesday at 10:30.
Yeah.
So everything's down, Jennifer, so I can't get anywhere.
Absolutely.
And that's only me. I care about the rest of the citizen as well. People that are seniors, they require, to get point and get medical services. Impossible.
If I can interject here, can we move the conversation to what is it the municipality can do
So I
to
can call them.
move forward with that?
So the cell phones are
as a
Monday or
communication.
Tuesday, the internet's still down, and the
Yes.
landlines are still down.
Yes, that's a fact.
Okay, I thought the internet was up because our internet feeds through the Bell, but it might be one specific line.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think there may be those within the community that maybe still aren't working.
okay.
Because I'm affiliated with Bell as well, and it didn't work until Tuesday, later Tuesday.
Okay.
And the Bell line at my house is still not working.
Yeah, I tried, yeah.
Our emergency phone at work at the mill is still not working.
Okay, I will call Bell tomorrow.
Would it be worth, a nasty letter or a well-written letter from, town and the mayor, signed by the mayor and brought to the attention of Bell for that?
I think the biggest thing though, to allude to what this, Greg was saying, there's a lot of people with just
Bell.
the landline.
Yeah.
And, medical alert does not work, 911 does not work if there's no line, period. That is their only help. And we have a lot of seniors in the center, and in this day and age, there is no reason at all for this.
I think it's, one more comment. I think this is crucial for seniors. They're not able-bodied. They can't get to their door. They have
Yeah.
their phone, they have the med, whatever you wanna call it.
Yeah.
That's a major problem.
I think it's another form of isolation, which is a big factor.
That's a good point.
Yeah, Bell, let's talk.
Thank you very much.
Give us a minute here to write all that down.
I've got it,
That's a lot.
I've got it.
Okay. No other updates, then we can move to new and other businesses. Council debrief and WMO workshops.
Did you want me to speak a little to that?
Yes, please, if you would.
So we had two, NWMO was here for two sessions, one on July 7th, the other on July 8th. They came to tell us about the second repository and how that might occur, but more importantly, they want to get feedback from the people that were here. I think council can speak to this because you were all there at different times. What was good, what was bad, what we can do better, how we can do things differently. For people that have heard about it and wish that they could have attended and couldn't in those two sessions, there are certainly other opportunities for NWMO to come back again. So please reach out to me, cao@hornepayne.ca, or give Shanna a call at the front desk and let her know we'd like to have another session, leave your name and contact information. And when I get about 10 people, I'll get a hold of Tim and we'll make something happen. So, but council certainly, if you'd like to add to your feelings about the sessions, that would be very much appreciated or welcome.
Go ahead, Drago.
They do. I think it was very productive. I'll tell you why. Christine, the resource people were fantastic. Christine and Olga, they were non-biased. They were receptive to our, and we had a pretty lively group. I think it was great. We got our points across, maybe negative or positive, but they were very receptive. Tim's, and I liked him because he was honest with his answers. If he did not know, he'll tell you. I think it was very productive. And I'm hoping that they could have another session to see, obviously they came to see what's a better way than happened last time. I think that's the whole goal behind. And I think I would recommend to anybody who's pro or against to attend those things, to see, it's an input session. I think it was great. Thank you.
Thank you, Dario. Linda, do you have any comments?
No, just, one thing, I was part of the one at the NOMA conference. And, we did a little bit different where we were paired up and then we talked as a group. I kind of liked that format better, and they did ask me because they did realize I was at the other one as well. So I did say that one was kind of better, but I thought it worked out really well. So.
I thought I'll just agree with everything. Yes, it was very well put on. They talked and explained in ways that the average person can understand and feel comfortable with the knowledge they're giving. And I've known Tim for a while, and I do like it when he doesn't have the answer. He doesn't say something that he doesn't know. He'll only answer if he has facts. And it was very well presented, and I actually enjoyed the 2 hours that we had.
Thank you. Yes, I also attended and I did enjoy it. I think we learned a little bit of what's going on. A little more than last time we went through well, it took a long time for, of course, process last time. Yeah, I kind of look forward, I think a little more information. What I did like though was the respectful conversation that we had during the workshop. It was really meaningful, and we got answers done, right? Answers in. So I liked it.
One thing I'm kind of curious about is all of us were basically at the same session. I think Cheryl was at the other one. I kind of would have liked to know the differences between the two.
They were similar. I was
Yeah,
at
they
both.
were very similar.
I was
Sure.
at both. They were similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay. The waste to resource public information session. Anybody have comments regarding that one? Go ahead, Drago.
I think it was good. I think, but I'm not sure if everybody got my question. It was unfortunate. There was a bit of more chatter in that one than the WMO. My question was, I repeated what the presenter said, not Jim, the other gentleman. So they need a year and a half for all the ministers' approvals. And he confirmed that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the project, I said, is between 20, 30 to 50 million. Then my question was, once you get all the ministry's approval, do you have all the investors in the wings to, and he said, no. My other question was, do you expect the ministries to finance the entire project? And he said, no. I think that was very telling to me.
I can speak to that.
Go ahead.
So I think he did mention it at the meeting too. They did have an investor. Because the timelines, that investor stepped back and said, when you have all your approvals in place, call me and we'll talk. I'm interested in this project. So it's not a hard no, they have a soft yes.
He didn't say that though.
No, but he has said that.
Okay.
He did, I think he did say that at one point in the meeting.
He's not here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just to bounce off what you were saying, Drago, like, you're not gonna get investors that are gonna commit anything until all the approvals are in place. It's just putting the cart ahead of the horse. All the approvals have to be placed, and more importantly, a place to, a destination for this energy that's gonna be produced. And that's a whole nother thing. So like, I honestly believe that if they are to get the approvals and if things start falling in line, and most importantly, a place for the energy to go, and then the logistics of getting the biomass up here, which is another huge, you
I
know,
understand the
it's
logistics.
huge logistics issues. Then there'd be a lineup of people that would want to invest in it, because it is the potentials are limitless.
I understand.
But yeah, it's a long ways ahead go, and I totally support it, but I don't want to see us waste too much energy on it. I would rather, I think we are closer to the finish line or the possible ribbon with NWMO right now. I think if there's anything that we can put towards that to help out or
Well, that might
whatever,
be a big process too.
that's another one. But I mean, it's
They're
just,
not
I
even
see,
starting till 2030.
yes,
Yeah.
but even this other one there, it's just,
Yeah.
I just see all the logistics behind it.
Oh, it's-
I really would love to see something happen, but
That's what, go ahead, Melinda.
What I think I would, if these guys come back and do some more presentations and all that, I think I would like them to add to their presentation what kind of businesses can start. When you talk about recycling, what kind of businesses within our community could be looked at? So to get more interest from the community members. They just say that this part does recycling, this, but give us some more ideas on what can be added once that facility is there. Job opportunities.
Yeah.
I think those kind of things will be ear catchers.
My takeaway from that was similar. It was a good conversation. It covered a lot of those bases and asked a lot of those questions. To me, we're still early in the process, so some of those applications and approvals are not gone through yet. So there's a lot of question involved, so in my feeling, we should stick with it until we get further down the line. It's not costing us anything other than our time right now, right?
yeah, we totally support it. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, so. Okay, if we can move on to council discussion on commemorative gifts for Royal Canadian Legion Branch 194 and the Hornepayne Masonic Lodge number 636. The 100th year anniversary, and any questions? I believe Manuela, you're.
No, I think, Jen
Jen?
first.
Jen had it?
Yeah,
Okay.
at a previous meeting, Mayor Fort had mentioned attending, I believe, the, did he
Mhm.
attend both? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And, mentioned that council should discuss, commemorative gifts for those 100-year anniversaries and ask that it be brought to a future agenda. So this is that discussion.
Any comments from?
Yeah, I agree.
Greg or Melinda?
100%, you should do something,
Yeah.
I would check with our, the Legion in, I'm not sure, Surgeon Falls was 100 years, I think just the other day, to see what the municipality did, I mean, a plaque, right? Something that, to recognize the, volunteers of the Legion for 100 years.
Yeah.
I mean, they made it happen.
Yeah. I agree. I think we should do something. I don't know what, but
Usually a plaque, then they usually put it on the wall, their choice in the entrance as you go into left or right side, and a very decent one. I'm talking not a little puny 2x2, but usually put 16x16 or something, quality.
to celebrate their 100th anniversary.
Right.
So if I may make a recommendation,
Mhm.
staff could get some quotes for such things and bring a report and ideally a resolution to the August 13th meeting, and council can approve those purchases, yeah?
Yeah. Okay, if we can move on to number 11.4, records management policy from the CAO.
So that was me. I don't have the report in front of me, but I'll wing it. I spoke earlier about our records management policy. It's from 2021. Legislation for records management changes annually, sometimes 2-3 times in a year. It's going to change again October 1st because there's a change in the legislation for MFIPA. So there's different legislation that affects this policy throughout the year. So it's great that we have a retention policy. It does need to be updated. It's been 5 years since we've had our last retention policy. So we're implementing TOMRIMS. We've chosen that as our records management system. So just to remind council, TOMRIMS, the acronym is the Ontario Municipal Records Management System. It is updated by professionals annually based on the legislation, not just annually, but whenever the legislation changes. So we are filing according to that system. We're developing our SharePoint according to that system. So this policy is recommending adopting the bylaw, which says we will do our retention based on the TOMRIMS system, or the bylaw refers to the policy. The policy says we will do our records retention based on the TOMRIMS system. So any questions?
No, I think we have to go ahead with it, right?
Yeah, we have to go ahead. One of the things I noticed too, like I think I had a question posed to me earlier, was why is it in the policy that we keep record of what we've destroyed? So we've not done that historically. It's something that's required, I believe, by legislation, but it is definitely a good practice because Jennifer, for sure, if she gets an MFIPA and she says, well, that 2004 letter that we received in 2004 was destroyed in 2015 by the deputy clerk at the time. So then that's the extent of the work she has to do on those MFIPAs, rather than searching boxes and piles and documents. And, as we get our records in order and make record of what we're doing, to be accountable to ourselves and to the citizens, as well as to the other regulatory bodies through the province. So go ahead.
And if I may, that was not anecdotal. That was a true situation that has
Yes.
occurred where
Yeah.
recently someone
Recently.
asked for a record from 2004, and because we didn't have a record of destruction, I had to try to search everything that I could to find it, despite knowing it was likely destroyed. But because no record of destruction, there was no
Sense, I mean.
Yeah. all back. Yeah, so it just will simplify things a lot more for myself and any other future
Yeah,
clerks.
so it's a standard policy developed by the TOMRIMS or by that group of companies. It's used by hundreds of municipalities throughout the province. They service over 300 municipalities, us being one of them.
Except us.
No, we are one of them. That's
We are now.
We are now. Yeah,
Yeah, we're not.
we're transitioning. We're still transitioning, but it's coming along. So, yeah. So that's why I wanted to quickly put this policy in place. What happened, so just to, I do want to make this public. What happened was we were doing some shredding this week, and I walked by and one of the road books was getting shredded, and that's a permanent document. So I wanted to make sure that we had the proper policy and that it was being properly used, just so that we're not in trouble. So I will try to reach out to MPAC and get that road book replaced, at least in a digital format, and to save ourselves, but at least now it'll be documented. It was an error, it happened, and it's corrected. So.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions regarding records management policy? We can move on to number 12, the bylaws. Bylaw number 2216, -26, blue box materials, collection, depot operations agreement, circular materials. Did you guys read it? Everybody, any questions regarding that?
I would like Jen to speak to this policy
Yeah.
because I don't want to steal her thunder. I think she
Okay.
should, this has been her project. She's been the lead and I want to congratulate her. She's done a great job, but I'm going to let her tell you all the good news.
Very good.
Okay, so firstly, as you will see in it, the at the moment anticipated actual starting date is in November of this year. I wanted to advise, so they are handling everything. They will handle the provision of the bins to people for curbside. And for multi-res, so specifically HHCM 180 Front Street. And for other residents who do not receive curbside, because the multi-res will not receive curbside, there will also be bins at the depot. So where our current transfer station is, there will be, they're not entirely sure, they still have to figure it out with the contractor that they will be having coming in, but 1 to 2 bins there. So there will be depot arrangements as well that all residents can use. Anyone can use the depot to place their food box materials. They will provide all of the information, resources, education is the word. I was going to say training and that was wrong. Education, so people know what goes in, how to do it, all of that. And then additionally, there is 0 cost to the township. And they're also paying us. I believe it's 600 and something. I didn't write down the exact, but a little over $600 a month to have access to our landfill because it will be, or to our transfer station because that's where the bins will be. So it is to go towards maintaining road access in the winter, picking up any like messes, etc., just maintaining that the bins are accessible to the public. So that is very exciting. It has been a long process. I started, I say I because at the time we did not have a CAO, so it was in December of 2024. And we are finally getting an agreement now in July of 2026. But yes, so we are there.
Excellent. There you go.
So when is the actual rollout? Meaning, when will the citizens of this community receive the receptacles?
From my understanding, it looks like that is supposed to be happening in November. So I believe as soon as we sign this agreement, which will happen ideally tomorrow.
Okay.
So John, be ready for an email.
The reason I asked the question as a follow-up, so we always be able to communication with the citizens. So if they see something dropped up in front of their property, they will know exactly what transpired.
I will also say, so it is Circular Materials and the company that they will be contracting, which we are thinking at this point will be GFL, because that's the one that is most common in the area, but they're still finalizing. They will be providing the information and the updates and the communications to the residents as well, so that everyone knows what's going on. But I think they have to wait to fully finalize some of the stuff until this is signed. So once this is signed, we will have more updates, and I will absolutely bring those updates probably in my departmental reports, just time for updates.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I have one point of clarification and one question. To clarify, what is the cost to the residents of Hornepayne?
Hard zero.
A hard zero? So we don't have to pay anything, okay?
Nothing, yes.
And my question is, what about people who live outside the community or the municipality that come to use our dump site?
Absolutely. So for example, Government Road, anyone, so not only multi-resident and community members, people in the community, but outside residents or outside community members can also use the depot for food box.
Oh, thank you. Very good. Go ahead, Manuel.
Commercial, can the businesses use the depot as well?
No, so it is, this program is residential only. So it is not for commercial, per the legislation. There was an option for us to also have bins for commercial. I'll be very upfront. So there were options for us to have bins for commercial. However, the cost would come from the township. So we would have to pay to have the contractors come pick it up, et cetera. And the costs to that were not feasible.
Bunderby or
Yeah.
Timmins.
Yeah, so it was investigated, but the costs were not feasible,
Yeah.
especially with, so at this time, it is residential only because that is what is covered financially.
Excellent. No other questions? Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Drago, second by Peter.
An idea.
Here.
Okay. Hold on,
No,
Counselor.
it's fine.
Oh, okay.
You're fine. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2216-26 being a bylaw to authorize a depot operations agreement between the corporation of the Township of Hornepayne and Circular Materials Ontario for the collection of blue box materials be hereby read a second time and be considered read a third time and finally pass. All in favor? Carried. Okay, bylaw number 2217-26, records management policy, records clarification retention schedule, and repeal by bylaw, and repeal bylaw number 1947. Any discussion on that? Sorry, I kind of confused it with.
This is the bylaw that will adopt the policy that I just spoke about, the records management policy.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Pete, second by Belinda. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2217-26, being a bylaw to establish a records management policy, records classification and retention schedule for the records of the township, and to repeal bylaw number 1947, be hereby read a first and a second time and be considered read a third time and finally passed. All in favor? And be carried. The next one is bylaw number 2218-26, comprehensive user fees and service fair charges. This was added to the agenda.
Okay, so we briefly spoke about that earlier. It was just to amend the current user fees to add on things that we don't have. So we had an officiant, we had civil marriages and renewals as one amount for 312. So we've just divided that. So 156 to the township for the administrative duties of the clerk and $156 to the officiant. So we did the same thing for out of boundaries. We just divided between the two civil marriages renewals. Yes, to 234.09, sorry. And that's before, during business hours and after business hours was 182. We added plumbing to as a recommendation of the chief building official. So first fixture, I believe, is $70 and each additional fixture is $10.
To clarify, that's to the building.
To the building code, sorry, it's a building portion. We also, in the building portion, amended it to remove shingles. If you remember back to the town hall meeting in September, that was a big point that was brought up. Why are we getting a building permit to just change our shingles?
Yeah.
So we've removed the shingles, we've added the plumbing to the building portion. The officiant, to jump back and forth a little bit, the officiant will be able to claim travel as per the township travel policy, should the wedding be out of town. And the last thing we added was rental of the pavilion with and without hydro. That was on an older bylaw from maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and somewhere it got dropped and we added it back on. So those were the only changes, and we're asking that it be amended. Sorry, go ahead.
Just to speak to the efficient travel.
Mhm.
So that was originally in the previous one. What we changed on that was in accordance with the travel policy because it just said that mileage could be charged. And we removed a portion that said that the officiant could charge an hourly rate. Because if
Because
the
they're getting
officiant is
paid.
getting half the fee, then they don't need to be charging an hourly rate.
So they're getting $234 to do a wedding out of town plus mileage.
So it costs the municipality money. I don't like that.
No, because it gets charged to the people.
The mileage we pay by the people?
Yeah,
Yes,
it all gets
I wasn't
paid by
clear on that.
people,
Thank you.
sorry. Yeah, it all
That
gets
wasn't clear
charged
to me.
out. These are the charges that we're charging the people, and then we pay that portion of the 156
Fine with
days
that.
with us, and the remainder goes to the officiant.
Okay, it wasn't clear to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes,
Any other questions regarding this, user fees? There being none, can I have a move in a seconder, please? Moved by Drago, second by Pete. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2218-26, being a bylaw to establish comprehensive user fees and service charges, be hereby read a first time, a second time, and be considered read a third time, and finally passed. All in favor? Carried. Motions and notices of motions, there being none. So at this time, number 14, I'd like to move to a closed session. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Blenda, second by Peter. Be it resolved that the next portion of the meeting at 7:50 PM be closed to the public in order to discuss personal matters and an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board members. Do I have to read all this?
I can if you want.
I will. A proposed or pending, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position of interfere significantly with the contractual or negotiations of a person, group, or persons or organizations, and a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to negotiations pursuant to sections 239 2BCIK of the Municipal Act 2001.
Prior to closing this meeting, does council wish to have a recess before the closed session starts?
6 minutes. You see?
For the record.
Do you have a mover and a seconder for this?
Yep, you have a mover and seconder.
Do you want to do an all in favor, I guess? All in favor? That'd be carried.
Thank you.
open?
Yeah.
Okay,
We are open.
return to open council, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Peter, second by Linda. Here, all the council of the corporation of the Township of Hornepayne does hereby return to open council at 9:48 PM. Business arising from closed session. We have 3 ongoing discussions that need to take place, and that's about it, eh?
To next available meeting.
Yeah, they'll all be moved to the next available meeting.
So there's 3 ongoing items in close that need to take place. But they need further discussion prior to the restricted acts period. So there will be a special meeting set, in the near future to continue those discussions to ensure that they are resolved prior to the restricted acts period.
Well said. So can we adjourn this?
Yeah.
Okay. Bylaw number 2219-26, confirmatory. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Pete and second by Belinda. Be it resolved that bylaw 2219-26 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at the regular meeting held on Thursday, July 16th, 2026. Be hereby read a first and a second time and be considered read a third time and finally passed. All in favor? Carried. During meeting, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Pete, second by Belinda. Be it resolved that council does hereby adjourn this regular meeting of council held on Thursday, July 16th, 2026 at 9:49 PM. All in favor?